Hi, it's Film Rich and welcome back to the channel. Today we're recapping The Sopranos Season 1 Episode 7, which is titled Down Neck. This episode explores the idea of legacy, both personal and familial, as Tony reflects on his childhood while dealing with AJ's worsening behaviour. It's also the first episode where we're introduced to Johnny Soprano, who is Tony's father, and we get a good understanding of the type of man he was. If you're enjoying my recaps, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more content, and without further ado, let's get stuck in. The episode kicks off at AJ's Catholic school, where he and a few friends sneak into the church and drink communion wine on a dare. By the time they get to gym class, they're clearly drunk. A gym teacher calls them out and one of AJ's friends vomits in front of everyone. Naturally, they get sent to the principal's office. Elsewhere, Tony visits a construction site where the foreman hasn't been paying his union dues. With Christopher's help, Tony smoothed things over, but just as that's resolved, Carmela and Tony tell him to get to school. AJ's in trouble. Tony arrives at the school to find AJ still intoxicated. The principal lectures them, and the school's psychologist, Dr. Peter Galani, brings up the possibility that AJ might have attention deficit disorder. Tony and Carmela agree to punish him, and the school suspends AJ for 3 days. Later that evening, Livia and Junior come over for dinner. Tony tries to downplay the situation, but Livia brings up Tony's own youthful antics, which only makes things worse. AJ mouths off again, prompting Carmela to ground him for 3 weeks. He storms off. That night, in bed, Tony wonders if AJ knows about the family business. Carmela says that Meadow knows, and Tony reflects on their college trip. They talk about the possibility of telling AJ someday. Tony agrees to let AJ go through the psychological testing. He then dreams of being in Dr. Melfi's office discussing how AJ might be a reflection of himself. Tony wakes up and takes his Prozac and looks at himself in the mirror. Then we flash back to 1967. A young Tony misses the school bus and walks to class. Along the way, he witnesses Johnny Boy and Junior beating a man, his first exposure to the family business. Back to the present, Tony goes to see Melfi. He opens up about his parents, saying his father was respected but involved in extortion, and that his mother was emotionally abusive. When Melfi asks about AJ, Tony insists he hasn't told him anything about his work and still claims to be a legitimate businessman. At home, Carmela tells Tony that AJ might need special education. The conversation quickly turns tense when Carmela blames herself for staying with Tony. He counters by suggesting her side of the family also has behavioural issues. Carmela storms off. As part of his punishment, AJ has to visit Livia at Green Grove. She's happy to see him at first, but when he mentions that psychological testing and Tony's therapy, she grows emotional. She breaks down, realizing Tony may be talking about her in her sessions. Tony takes AJ to a dentist appointment, but they get a flat tire. While fixing it, Tony tries to bond with his son AJ. AJ is tight-lipped about his therapy session. When Tony pushes AJ, he suddenly asks if he's in the mafia. He brings up the men and the cameras at Jackie Sr.'s funeral. Tony dodges the question, tells him that Jackie was complicated, then he says he's not like him. Back with Melfi, Tony explores whether he and AJ inherited bad tendencies from Johnny Boy. Melfi brings up Tony's earlier dream about ducks, suggesting it could relate to his family. Tony then recalls another flashback. Livia once threatened to gouge his eye out with a fork. He remembers Janice being the favoured child, taken by Johnny and Junior to the fairground. Young Tony later sneaks off to the same fairground and finds out it's a mafia front. A police raid unfolds, one associate is killed and Johnny gets arrested while Janice cries. In the present, Tony tells Melfi that the fairground was a facade to hide mob activity, but even then he felt proud to be Johnny's son. Tony pays Livia a visit at Green Grove and brings up Rocco Altore, the mobster from the earlier flashback. Livia tells him Rocco moved to Nevada and became a billionaire. She also tells Tony to talk to a psychiatrist if he has family issues. Tony claps back, saying she's far from more manipulated than she lets on. Dr. Galani later informs Tony that AJ has a borderline case of ADD. The news, along with everything Tony has processed in therapy, pushes him to make a change. He goes home and spends quality time with his son, committed to being a better father than Johnny Boy was. And that's it for Down Neck, an episode that weaves together the past and the present, exploring how family, history, parenting, and unresolved trauma shape who we are. Let us know what you think in the comments, and be sure to like, share, and subscribe for more Sopranos recaps. See you on the next one.